Yeah, that was it just wasn't. Again, we looked. We played how we looked. Like, I know everyone was getting frustrated. I was getting frustrated with the group. Players were getting frustrated with themselves. Uncharacteristic type behaviours. The reality was the most surprising factor was as close as what it was, and so we can pick it apart. But the reality is my main priority is I want to get the boys home and give them the day off and give them a week to ready their bodies and prepare for a home game, which will be nice, and try and stay in touch of the pack.
How is this just a bit of a compounding of having injuries, having other guys down, or is it just a bit of a tough patch?
No, I mean, again, let's be realistic, and this is where I do I don't want to beat up too much on the guys, because the things that we can fix the things that are the problem are fixable, right? So, Taran's first hit out on the court, and we got him on a minutes restriction, and Taj is, we haven't seen him in 3 weeks, and we just throw him out there because we need to, because Pat's out, and Bobby was hit and miss how he pulled up from the flight. Shout out to my team manager, Money Mike. I know every team's got a fantastic team manager. We've had a nightmare run, and Money's been on top of everything in terms of flights, accommodation, and the food situation, everything. So I know I usually give love to the assistant coaches and the players and so forth, but I think Money, he's a touch under 70. He doesn't sign up for some of the trauma we've given him, especially in this past month. But again, it's also a reflection of the group that, I think this is the first time, we broke a little bit mentally, in a sense that we were quite tough and robust, and we highlighted the stretch at the end of the third, for example, against New Zealand, where we had a chance to take the lead, but instead of executing a good possession to take the lead, New Zealand go on a 15-0 run, and we didn't complain, and the guys stuck it out. I think it was the first time we actually broke a little bit, and so there's good teaching points from this. We'll review it and address it and get better for it.
How's Big Sam? It looked like he hurt something towards the end there.
He's got everything going on at the moment. He's tough as nails, but without going into too much detail about it, we're relying on him unnecessarily too at the moment, just as we're sort of trying to get everybody else going. But he's tough, and he probably needs this week more than anyone.
Taran, what did you think of the performance out there? Obviously, there's some frustrating things that Forde mentioned, but what did you see as the areas that you guys need to improve on after this one?
Yeah, much of the same. Obviously, clearly wasn't pretty. It wasn't a pretty style of basketball by any means. I think for us, it's the same things we've sort of been harping on for the last few games. It's recurring errors. Our rebounding, our turnovers, especially me. Especially that first half, I don't know what was going on. I was terrible. I'll own that. That's fine. But it's important we got to stamp that out. I think we can't keep getting told the same messages and making the same mistakes and not changing. That's crazy. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
You did pick up in the second half personally. Where are you as far as sort of where your progress is and how close you are to where you want to be and playing impactful basketball?
Yeah. The big thing for me has just been conditioning. It's been difficult sitting out and not really being able to go. And then, this is the most intense, basketball I've ever played. And I'm fighting for air and fighting fatigue quite a bit. And, I think that was pretty obvious. I was making some, silly errors and that sort of thing. But, it's also feel, it's rhythm. It's the first time I played basketball in quite a while. Games are totally different to practice. You can't simulate, game repetitions. So, I think that's done now. I think that out of whack, out of rhythm, me not being able to lead the group is done. And, I'm definitely going to be ready to play against Illawarra.
What are the challenges in getting this group going in a game that's so stop and start, a lot of fouls, whether no one can really get a feel, especially 2 point guards who you're trying to reincorporate. How difficult is it coaching in that environment?
Yeah, it's. I mean, you're not going in, and so it almost becomes a. We know we're not a finished product yet, and especially just with the month that we've had and the ins and outs, and obviously Pat's a big piece who's not in this group at the moment. So there are moments where you just play longer stretches than what you would like. You don't necessarily coach it because it's like, okay, this becomes, like you said, this becomes a conditioning or a training drill, and recognizing things that we're doing wrong, then being able to make an immediate change rather than having me to call a timeout or review it like a practice. And so, it was a very strange game. Like, it was just a very strange game, and it didn't feel like there was really any flow. Guys trying to find their way, then guys trying to find their shot. The ball wasn't going necessarily where we wanted to. It took us, I think, 5 opening possessions before we finally ran the play that we wanted, and then we got it, and then we just don't go back to it, and it's like a reminder. And look, this is our 7th game of the season, and hopefully we're looking at being full strength next week, and then we can really start, getting our stuff together. But we're not out of the woods yet. We got Illawarra, then we fly to Perth, and then we come back and we face Tassie before that FIBA break. So if we can, again, stay around the pack, which is what the goal is, use that 2 weeks and then hit the ground running, and then it's no excuses. There's no excuses now, but, again, I don't have a finger on the the emergency switch or anything. I know exactly where we can fix it and what direction we need to go in, and it's a good group to sort it out with.
Are you guys trending toward Pat being back next week?
Hopefully. The reality is, probably, if we were a home game, he would have played, but it was this double that we got told was going to get delayed, which got us in late, and it was via Sydney because it's not in Auckland, it's somewhere else, and the injury that he had was that back glute, which is sitting on a plane. So it was more of a calculated decision to not take him, knowing that he gets these couple of days and maybe a few more, and we can ease him into the end of the week and reevaluate. But again, even if it was a home game, it's this early in the season, why risk it? Knowing that we had Taran coming back and Taj. So the plan is that these guys get some minutes, and now we can sort of get situated with a rotation and move forward, and hopefully, knock on wood, be injury free.
Forde, you talked about this being a teaching moment out of this game. How do you go about with such a young group, getting beyond the frustration that clearly happened today when things aren't going your way, when the fouls are stacking up? Like, how far away do you think this group is out from figuring those sorts of things out?
Yeah, I don't think we're far off, and again, this wasn't a good game. We didn't progress, and this is what I addressed at halftime was, my frustration was in the group because I didn't feel like I felt like even though we lost New Zealand, we took a couple of steps forward, and I felt like we regressed a little bit with this one, and that was where my frustration was with the group. But, that's what we signed up for. The direction that we wanted, that I, backed and continue to back, and that, what's great is we get support from the board to say this is the direction we wanted to go. We wanted to bring in some high-level young talent, knowing there was going to be some ups and downs. And we're experiencing a down right now. But this is not a down in the sense of, guys are ready to jump ship or I'm ready to pull the pin. No, this is when you really, you double down on it and trust that, we're going to get better and we're going to get through this and come out better for it. And again, I really want to emphasise, this is not me sitting here going, panic button. Like, this is actually, I actually enjoy this side of coaching. This is part player development, and this is people management, and it's enjoyable. This is why we do it.
You must be seeing some positives, though. I mean, Taran's played just his 2nd game. Bobby obviously coming in and making some really nice things happen in certain parts of the game. So at this stage of the season, you've got to be pretty happy with how some of these young guys are starting to move in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, guys right now in the NBL are playing to their ceiling. Some of them are beyond it, right? And the numbers always balance out. Taran's nowhere near his potential yet. He's 2 games in. He's had a weekend, right? And even then we had to cap him. So Taran round 6, I think it is, compared to Taran in round 18 is going to be vastly different. And so this is the exciting part about it. And you can do this because it's top 6, right? Like top 4, you're rolling the dice a little bit risky, but If we can get into that fever break and be around 500, which is what the goal is, and we're still in that pack, we're going to be a better version of ourselves, by the end of the season. And that's the plan. And then who knows what happens in those play-ins. So, we're good.
Adam, you mentioned flights, accommodation, and your team manager. Does that have an effect? That preparation element is very important.
Yeah, because you plan, but then this is problem solving at its best, right? And so, and that's again why I want to highlight Money Mike was because he's a real stickler for, like, I'm a stickler for the schedules, and so Money Mike wants to try and stay as close to what I want as possible. And some things just out of your control. And this is what's great about the group and the manager was we didn't make excuses from it. We just had to acknowledge it for what it is. Don't pretend it's not there. It's a real thing. Okay, what can you control? You can control your effort. You can control your recovery. You can control the little things that make the difference along the way because, maybe post-game you want to jump in the pool and do an extra 5 minutes. And that can be the difference between waking up with, tight calves or being good to go. So that's what's great about this group was, like, it was a little bit of adversity. Yeah, we're 0-2 from this weekend, which is not great. But we're not using that as an excuse. We sucked. Like, we were terrible, right? Like, let's call it for what it is. This is a bad basketball game again. But, that's the excuse. We should be better, and we will be better.
So were there a few issues there with preparations and flights and accommodation in this game for today? No. Like, this was Melbourne, great, fantastic here. Best hotel to stay in on the road. I'm not just saying that because I'm here. Like, it's a good setup. Like, no, this is cash. It's just that we've been on the road. They're on this road double. So, no, this was great.
One more from the crowd. Jasper, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Taran, I was just going to ask you touched on a bit there about the physical challenges that have come so far with playing in the NBL, but can you just talk to mentally how you handle it when there is so much hype and stuff around coming into this league?
Yeah, I think the NBL is the best league or conference, whatever I could have put myself in, and it shows. Like, I think for me mentally, I try not to think about it too much. Basketball is basketball. There's going to be an obvious adjustment period, and experience is the best teacher. So I think as it goes on, I'll get more and more comfortable. But for me, it's nothing really different. It's just basketball is basketball, and I try to keep it the same no matter where I'm playing or who I'm playing for, and I just try to do my job the best I can.
Cool. Wrap it up there, guys.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.